So in these kill shelters, basically what happens is they get a large amount of dogs at once. So it's either like dogs that people don't want anymore, stray dogs, dogs that are having puppies, dogs that are pregnant and about to have puppies, or just regular dogs in general. They have like purebred dogs, mixed breed dogs, anything you could ever imagine. And what basically happens is the dogs sometimes have top 7 days to find a home, or I don't even think that they do foster homes. So basically find a home, and most likely that never happens because really there's too many dogs and not enough people to take the dogs. So the dogs get put down. In Connecticut and New York and like northern states, they use euthanasia injections, which is basically you numb the spot and then the animal's kind of like not with it, and then they inject it and the animal's heartbeat slowly goes down, which is very humane. Down south they either do that injection and the animal is like, I think that the animal, they feel like they're burning and then they finally die, or that they use a gas chamber. It's basically like the Holocaust but for dogs. They're not allowed to feed the dogs. I think it's the night prior or 2 nights prior to the dog's death, just so it doesn't make a big mess in the gas chamber. And they're only supposed to do 1 dog at a time, and they actually fit, I think it's between like 5 to 10 dogs in there at once. And it takes a while for them all to die. So basically, if I were a dog and I was in there, literally dogs would be dropping and I would be the last one. There's actually one case where a dog was actually, they opened up the chamber and the dog came out and it was totally alive. That was the one time where they were like, oh, the dog's alive and we didn't kill it, let's just give it a home. So like, it's a torturous death, and they use heart sticks too, which is basically just, it like stuns the heart, and the dog eventually dies. They have no sympathy for dogs that are about to give birth, so they will put a mother that is in labor in a gas chamber and kill all the dogs. Once the dogs are put to sleep, they're put in like big type, I don't even know what it would be called, like a kind of barrel, piled on top of each other, and most of the time, it's kind of actually scary to think, but they're grounded up and made into dog food. Also, in these kill shelters, they don't really treat the dogs, so if the dog has a broken leg, it's just left to sit there. They do not splint it, give it pain medicine or anything. In March of last year, so that was like 2011, I saw an ad on Craigslist looking for a foster home for a specific dog that was in need of a home. So I emailed the lady and I said, hey, I would really like to foster. Here's my mom's number. A lot of the dogs just come from basically nothing. They don't get fed. A lot of them are starved down there, and severely abused onto their like side, like numbers. There's like a card game that everyone plays. It's like if you hit a person, it's 500 points. It's kind of like a joke, but you actually see like 1,000 spray painted onto the dog, and if you hit the dog, you get 1,000 points, and if you leave it there, that's just recently came out. Dogs are like showing up at the shelter with like 10 spray painted or freeze branded onto the dogs. The dog's for its entire life is going to have the number 10 because they freeze branded it on. But you see like so many horror stories. My rescue has done, or I personally have done 67 dogs since last March. My family doesn't really like it at most times, but I kind of make them deal with it. We love all of the dogs that we get. My part of the organization is actually to receive the dogs at Westchester County Airport, drive them back to my house, assess the situation, see if they're good dogs, if they're cage aggressive, if they're food aggressive, which means I actually have to stick my hand into their food bowl and see if they're going to bite me. Usually most of them aren't. They're just so happy to see that like someone really wants to feed them or wants to pet them and wants to throw the ball. And I'll move them into my foster homes. Not a lot of people want to foster because they're like, well, what if we fall in love with the dog? We're not going to give it away. Well, then just adopt it. So it's really hard to find foster homes, but for me it only takes about a week to maybe even max 2 weeks to find a dog a home. I post on Craigslist, Facebook, Twitter, Tumblr.
I've been working at the Humane Society, and I've been walking dogs and taking care of them and whatnot. It's in Westchester County. Essentially, I got started through a family friend, and she initially, right from the bat, told me how terrible it was and how bad these dogs were being treated and how they hadn't even seen grass or been outside in 5 to 10 years. There's garbage all over the lawn when you're walking them. I tend to get them right off the ground so that they're off onto the sidewalk and onto fields and stuff like that are nearby, because walking them on the property is like walking them through a dump. There's trash, there's cigarettes, there's everything all over the place. It's so bad, in fact, that there's 2 buildings on the property. One of the buildings is so bad that they can't even use it because the town of Harrison shut it down for being unsanitary and not safe to be in. I'll get there anywhere from 9:30 to 11:30 depending on my schedule, and most of the time I come in and the dogs are like stepping in their own feces because they hadn't been walked since the day before when I walked them at 11 o'clock. Before these new volunteers who are currently trying to take it over got there, there was like dog fighting going on there. Most of the dogs that are involved in the Humane Society are pit bulls or pit mixes, so obviously those dogs are associated with dog fighting, and some of the people that run it right now are just not good people. They take the state funds that they're giving for running the Humane Society and they use it for themselves. And currently there's a group of people that I'm involved in that are working to file a lawsuit to take it over legally from these people, get them out of there, and use all the state funds that this place does have to basically knock it down and build it back up to make it a real nice place, actually do adoption days and get these dogs in and get them out, because some of these dogs have been there for 10 or 11 years and that's unacceptable for a place that's trying to get dogs adopted.